G'day Bomber fans, well the win streak is over, we remain in the 8 after a tough loss to Freo, but our next matches aren't pretty. This was a game we will look back on at the end of the year and shake our heads at if we miss finals, so it's not going to be a fun review. Get your 3-2-1 votes in down below though, Essendon players only, and stay tuned till the end of the video to hear about Manscaped. So we obviously went into the game with the fittest team we have had in weeks, so too did Freo. We were missing Sam Draper, but got Darcy Parish back and had Phillips and Bryan waiting in the wings anyway, but what we have that they don't is the ability to start games well. Like I said in my preview, Fremantle had just one first quarter victory leading into the game, and early signs were that we had the upper hand. I think despite us giving them their second first term win for the year, we actually looked the better side. The main issue early was the fact we weren't capitalising on our around the ground dominance. We were easing it out of defence to attack and missing shots we would usually kick. This always comes back to bite you later in games. When we got the lead down to 20 in the fourth, that's when you think how important those early goals could have been. It's the difference between being on the ropes and still a chance, but their defense was holding up when we went in, and when we did get looks, we wasted them. This was our best quarter and we still lost. The second term is where the game really started for them. They were hotter around contests, hotter in defensive attack. Their pressure on the ball was much better than ours. It's why we looked so composed early in the game and so shaky late, because they stepped it up a notch. So that fast start that we had, it was gone, and we were playing catch-up footy against a team much better suited to the game than us. And we also saw the game reverse a bit. Our forward pressure went missing, and they looked to be playing a much easier game than us out of defence, and the home crowd knew this. They were rowdy in that second term, so when we had ball in hands and were under more pressure, well then it became second nature to be quick and rushed. It's that perceived pressure. We were used to a tackle coming in, so we assume it will come. You see players rushing when they didn't need to rush. That's because of what Freo did in that first little 10-minute block that completely changed the game. We trailed by 22 points at half time, and we needed a Brad Scott rev up, but what we got from the boys in the third, it just showed the game was over. They kicked a goal in the opening minute from a centre clearance and won the quarter 4-1, icing the game there. You may have thought we were back within a sniff in the last term, but they never had that game lost. The second and third quarters absolutely buried us. In fact, there was a period of the game where Fremantle had kicked 10 of the last 13 goals, so they were just killing us. I think that scoreline genuinely flatters the Bombers. I don't view this as a 5-goal loss. It felt more or closer to a belting to me. And I guess that brings me to finding the reasons why we lost this game of footy, starting with clearances. This is their bread and butter. They are 0 wins and 6 losses in games they lose clearance battles in, and 7 wins and 1 loss in games that they win them. So you can guess who won the game and the clearance battle, and it was important. It's not just a meaningless coincidental stat. They scored quite a bit from centre clearances and gained territory from them even more. It's frustrating to see Parish back in the side and to see us still look so undersized against good midfield. The count is fairly even, but it's the way they won their clearances with such conviction compared to us getting no distance whatsoever. Strong and Brayshaw had way more of an impact than any of our best midfielders. Like I said in the preview, their defence is strong and they proved it. Pearce still probably has Peter Wright in his pocket. Brendan Cox had Wiedemann where he wanted him, but speaking of where they want it, our entries felt like a defensive training drill for them, putting it in areas to be spoiled. There was that dare missing from the Carlton game. Instead we sat it on heads. I think the lack of synergy between our mids and forwards and their strong defence combined into a lack of attacking prowess for us. It is concerning to see us look that poor inside 50 against a team which isn't as good as some of the ones we will be facing in the coming weeks. I want to touch on it a bit more though, because I just did. The lack of cohesion and direction from the midfield to forward line was alarming. We had a lot of players with high disposal numbers, but their impact when attacking just wasn't up to standard. We had 6 players with over 5 score involvements, and the 16 scores that we had is our second lowest tally of the year, which is not great considering we've played everyone in the top 4 and the teams around it as well. Freo also just had the answers for our game plan. We were on top early. We had 39 uncontested marks at quarter time. We were playing the way we want to, hold the footy, look for short options, release pressure by playing slow, but after quarter time we could only manage a further 51 for the game. That's just 17 a quarter, less than half of what we were doing in the first. They killed our best asset, which is a good learning opportunity. It hasn't been done for a while, and we need to know what to do when teams get on top of us in this regard. Draper was a big loss. I thought Phillips played his role really well, but having Nick Bryan go up against Sean Darcy and Luke Jackson just showed how far off the best he is. Those two players were super important to Freo's win. 31 disposals, 30 hitouts and 3 goals between them. They had much more of an impact than Phillips and Bryan together. I also want to highlight an area we usually don't lose this badly, but our defensive work on the wings was just not up to standard. I thought Martin had a great attacking game, but Liam Henry had way too much of an impact on the same wing as Martin. He ran him ragged and killed us on the way back. He needed to be stopped, but we were too focused on attack to worry about him. And just a general cleanliness from Freo that you couldn't find from us is another big reason they won. They had less turnovers, a better disposal efficiency, generally looked more dangerous entering their forward 50. They were simply put the better team. You can blame the umpires all you want, you can talk about the poster buy curse, none of that matters. Freo were better on the night, we were worse, the better team won, enough said. There are some interesting points to be made because there were yet again more good VFL performers. I'll talk about them in the match preview on Wednesday, but some players definitely underperformed. Nick Bryan, Matt Guelphy, Sam Wiedemann, I'll talk about in a bit. Peter Wright didn't play too well, Kyle Langford, Sam Durham, even Jake Kelly in his first game back. They all had games below their best, and that's just a few. I could probably name more. I do want to highlight Sam Wiedemann though. He is clearly struggling for form at the moment, and this was a game where we needed some mongrel in our forward line, a spark if you will. So you'll never get that from Peter Wright, he just kicks goals, but what we needed was a forward to come in and put knees in backs, show some effort chasing down, and we didn't get that. I was really disappointed in Wiedemann's effort. Some positives, I think the fact we didn't get kicked out of the game shows we are hard to put away. I would say we deserved to lose this one by more, but our defence held up alright. It wasn't the best defensive performance, but it was respectable considering how much control they had on the game. I saw something I really liked, and that was Andrew Phillips's ruck tap work when allowed to be involved in more centre bounces. He had 11 hitouts to advantage. The next best on the ground was Sean Darcy with 6. The issue is he can't run out games as well, but when Draper is back, I would rather see Phillips get more centre bounce time and Draper around the ground for stoppages so we can actually get some clearances. And finally, I like that we kept our engine room shape on the move despite Parrish's return. In early rounds, we had limited operators inside there. I think we are harder to read as a midfield when we aren't using the same few players in every centre bounce. In saying that, we have a lot of work to do there. On to the votes, I will give 1 to Zach Merritt, who was our best midfielder in a pretty poor engine room, 2 to our former captain Dyson Heppel. I thought he was super solid, joint high intercept marks, but also clear most interceptions, and 3 votes to Jordan Ridley. He was a big reason we didn't get blown out of the water. He was terrific, as he always is. Some that I considered giving votes to: Andy McGrath was great, one of his better games for the year. I actually thought Andrew Phillips stemmed a lot of the flow at times for them. He played a pretty good role in Draper's absence. Ben Hobbs was pretty good, misused the ball a bit as all the midfielders did, but he looks a real player for us. But that's about it really, can't think of too many more. But that is that. Result didn't go our way. We learn, we rebound, we get better from it. We usually win these games, but maybe that means we are due a win against an even better team, who knows. Cheers for watching, Bomber fans. Get your votes in down below, but before you go, a quick word from Manscaped. Bomber fans, you know how much I love Manscaped after a tough loss, and you too can get your nuts nice and smooth to ease the pain of defeat. Just head over to manscaped.com, browse the incredible body grooming options, and if you want to spend a little less, you can use my discount code EVERYTHINGEssendon20 for 20% off, plus free shipping. Cheers, Dons fans.